welcome to a new episode on my girls talk show. Um I really was thinking about recording an episode. I really wanted to record about something fun and like something that will make you forget about everything that is happening, but it feels like the world is going through a lot, and every time I've been thinking about something bigger happens, and it feels like we are going through a lot. Everyone is going through a lot. I feel like mentally everyone is struggling with something, but we keep going. Like we're not stopping. We're not stopping our life. We keep fighting and we keep going and we keep doing what we do every day. And some of us don't have the luxury of like stopping and like taking a moment to take everything and whether in your personal life or like just watching the news or you watch what is happening around the world, it feels like we lost our humanity somehow. It feels like we lost the main principles. It feels like as a humans we became so vicious against each other. And even like I remember my mom and dad would talk about like how the neighbors would come to our house. Like it used to be like everyone would go to everyone's house, and you don't need even to ring the bell to go inside. You just go inside because it feels like it's your neighbor's home is your home. And after COVID, I feel like all the chaos started then, and it felt like it took one spark and everything just changed. We all see each other as enemies, and we all see each other um as if we want to destroy each other, and it feels so sad to see the world going through this dark moments. And I know you're listening to this and you saw the news couple of days, the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Um, it was shocking and horrifying, and I I I I don't I don't know if watching that video. I know you watched it, some of you, and I know a lot of people watched it. It 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 shook me like I have never seen something like this before. Um, God rest his soul in heaven and in peace. And I know a lot of people even like scared to say that it was horrible. It was scary to watch someone lose their life for just talking, for just expressing their, views. I I don't agree with everything he says. I don't agree with some of what he said. I I have a lot of differences with what he says, what he's said in the past. But I never ever in my wildest dream would have ever thought that disagreeing with someone means that it will get you killed. And I feel sad that some people lost their humanity to feel happy. You see, some stranger you don't know, just because you disagree with him, you celebrate his death. In a kind of way, it exposed where we are as humans. Like I said, his views are different than mine, but it doesn't mean that he deserves what happened to him. And this this thing exposed a lot of people who went silent about it. They didn't say anything. And there were a lot of role models that I thought that they will come out and say that this is the turning point, which ironically it was his organization named Turning Point. And I felt like there were a lot of people who were supposed to come out and say something to make people go back to common sense and to start having a dialogue with each other, talk to each other more. And I thought that those people who were my role models, and I've seen them in the past, they talk about they used to have common sense, but now it feels like it's us, them, they are. And it's crazy to see that people are scared to say that what happened that day is bad. What happened that day is something that we should condemn and we should come against, because every time you disagree with someone, you go and hurt them. It is not how the world is going to become better. And if I disagree with you, I will disagree with you with ideas. I'm not going to disagree with you with physically harming you. That's just horrible. And I don't believe in that kind of like way of living our lives. Like every time I disagree with my neighbor or with my friend or my brother or my sister or a stranger, I go and I harm them. That's just not how it works. This is crazy. This is we are living in a dark, dark, very dark moment in history. And I wish that the voices I've known my whole life would come out and say something about those who are celebrating his death. Um, I used to think when I was younger that people in the West, they are more aware of how to deal with differences and how to deal with um different views, that not everyone's going to agree on everything. Now it feels like if I disagree with you, we will stop being friends, we will stop talking, we will stop. I don't care what are your thoughts. I don't care how you think. I don't care what you stand for. All I care about is how you treat others, how you listen to others, how you have a discussion with others. It feels like people are so scared of disagreeing right now because there are bullies in the world that they are willing to go that far to make everyone feel like if you speak about anything I disagree with you, I'm going to silence you. And my friends, that's dangerous. I come from a place where assassinations happened every single day in the Middle East. And that, look where we are in the Middle East right now. Open the news and watch what is happening in the Middle East. Watch what is happening in every country. That thing that happened that day to Charlie Kirk is something that could lead to a bigger and darker days. And I wish people would just teach their children that every time you disagree with someone, it doesn't mean you bully them, you harm them, or you go so far to take away their life. You know, that day when I was watching that video, I was like, he was someone's son, he was a friend, he was a father, he was a husband, he was someone, he was human. And How how can someone watch that and be happy? It feels like I'm watching a movie, or I'm watching something like, or reading a book about like crazy times I didn't live in the past, or like history. It feels like something I've heard it from my parents, like happened in the past, and somehow it feels surreal, and especially like people turning it into like celebration. How did how did that humanity die in some people? And I feel like parents, they need to take responsibility for like teaching their kids how you should treat others. Yeah, to be, I don't know what to say, but I'm so disappointed in a lot of people that I used to love, that I used to admire, that I used to see as like they are the adult in the room. Like in the past, when something happens, I would go to hear them, to hear their voice, to hear what they're saying about some incident or an event that is happening. It feels like I wish that they could come out and not being just, I don't know, it feels weird. I really don't know what to say. Like young people right now, I'm 36, and there are young people who are watching and listening to people in my age and people on TV or other podcasts, and they need to step up. You need to talk. You need to say something, because every time someone celebrates someone's death, or someone's like going through something like that, and they see the adults in the room are laughing or are not saying anything, they will take it as if it's acceptable to celebrate someone's death, and to make it the new normal, that yeah, someone can do that again and again and again and again. That's not normal. And I'm not talking here about politics. I always say I hate politics. I hate politics, because that's what got us here. Because politicians, they kept saying all the crazy things until we are here at this point of like kids are celebrating because they saw that adults, like politician with names, with a lot of, you know, history, with so many like experience, coming out and saying the most ridiculous thing. And if we accept this as the new normal, that means it will happen again and again, and people are going to suffer. And and do you want to live in a world where people celebrate someone you love dying? Do you want to live in a world where it's all dark and it's all about like people harming each other? Or do you want to go to sleep or bed with peace of mind, and knowing that there are people in the world who are going to do the right thing, not the crazy thing? Like I used to feel like when something like this happens, deep down inside of me, I know there are people with wisdom and with a lot of Grace will come out and say, listen, we need to change. We need to take this thing seriously. We need to start talking to each other. We need to speak to each other. We need to um, take control of the narrative again. You don't just leave it for 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 it to solve itself. Like, the problem is that if we let this go and allow this thing to happen, where people are happy and celebrating and posting online, laughing and joking about how they're happy about what happened. I mean, I don't know who would watch the video and go to bed with peace of mind and joy and happiness. I don't know how you can watch something like that, especially in the US, and you feel like happy. If you're a parent and you're listening to this, your kids are going to be the leaders of tomorrow. Your kids are going to be the people who lead this world. What kind of a world you want to live your kids live in? Do you want it to be all about chaos? People are bullying each other, people are killing each other for their views, or do you want your kids to grow up and have wisdom and have grace and have a space inside of them for love and to understand that everyone has a different view of the world, that not everyone is going to agree with you, and that's fine. Not everyone is going to be on the same page with you. Not everyone are going to share the same view. Not everyone is going to like you, like even like you. There are a lot of people who are going to dislike you, and that's fine too. But to get to a place where parents are watching their kids celebrating someone's death and they're fine with it, like, aren't you scared of your son or daughter or your sister or your brother that they are celebrating a human being being killed in front of the whole world and especially in front of his family, his kids? Feels like people have lost not just common sense, so many people lost their their the direction of where where they stand or where they're going. And I used to see myself as a girl who comes from the Middle East, and I am way, way behind people in the West. And I used to watch, until today, I watch like the news in the US or the news in Europe, and I would literally just obsessed with what happens in those both communities and society, because I always felt like in Europe and in America, it's people there are superior. I'm gonna be honest with you. I used to feel like I'm learning from you guys. It's because I come from a place where it's broken, where people celebrate others' death, where people celebrated September 11, where people celebrated October 7th, where people celebrated others' death, because that's the normal in the Middle East, and that's why we are living currently from civil wars to wars, conflicts here and there. It's because that's where I come from. And when I used to watch the news in the US and I used to watch Europe and I'm obsessed with their music, with your music. And I used to watch all those like shows and follow the music and Hollywood and all these things. I used to feel like this is what I want to be. I used to feel like this is how I want my life to be because people in the US and people in Europe, they are so advanced in their humanity that when someone is getting harmed or something bad happens, they won't celebrate. They won't feel happy because that's where I come from. As a society, we kill for honor. We celebrate someone from other religion that is not our religion dead, death, or anyone who's different than us. We would celebrate anything that is harmful happening to them. This is why the Middle East is you see the way it is today. So I used to feel that people in America and people in Europe are so advanced and so like they are well educated. They are they are they are the ones that I watch when someone happens in the world. I immediately go to watch how people will react in America and Europe. And I know what happens in America and Europe more than I know sometimes in the Middle East. I would literally just, if I see a story, I won't just go for one source. I would go to multiple sources and I will watch hours and hours, hours after hour. Like, how do you deal with something like that? And I was fascinated with people in America, with people in Europe, how wise they are, how they deal with tragedies and with something like what happened to Charlie Kirk. And I used to see how people have differences, but they were still have a dialogue, talk to each other. And when I read about the history of history in Europe and history in America, and I would see like how from like civil war and slavery and all these things that happened in the past and how people in the West went like they went past it, like they became who they are today because they learned their lessons. They learned how to be civil, how to treat others with grace, how to not allow chaos take over because that's how civilization is built, or that's how normal countries, normal nations revolutionize their society or their community. That's how you get all the great things that the West invented, all the great things that the West did, with science, education, and all the technology and all. I, if, I wish my family would can tell you how obsessed I am with the West and how they learned from history. They learned from all the things that happened in all the all the centuries and all the history and all the civil wars and all the challenges and how they learned how to learned how to not allow something like we saw before 4 days or 3 days from happening. And I wish that as a humans, we learn how to not allow the darkness in the world to take us back centuries where it was not just dark, but it wasn't a good time for humanity. From all the wars and all the things that happened in the past, let us not go there because right now it feels like we're going backward, we're not going forward. Even though that I am hopeful, I still have hope. I still believe that the right people are going to rise and the right people are not going to allow darkness to take over again. I feel like even though now it's dark, now it feels like if I've I'm not gonna lie to you, there are moments when I feel hopeless and things are out of control because when you add all the things that is happening around the world and you add all the chaos that is happening to your own personal struggles, it becomes so hard to live without feeling that there's no hope. But I don't know why, despite everything and despite all the darkness and all the chaos and all the things that are happening around the world, I still have hope. You ask me how and why, I don't know. But all I know is that if we allow ourselves to be scared of telling the truth, and if we stop talking, and if we stop standing up and saying no means no, enough is enough, and if we are waiting for our leaders and waiting for those in power or people who have um, name big names in the world to rise up, that means we're going to allow darkness to take over, which again, I don't believe that the reasonable people in the world are going to allow this to happen because I know that that day, that that horrible, scary scene from Utah is is literally making a lot of people scared and making a lot of people fearful for their lives. But that's not how we create the light. That's not how we survive. That's not how we build a better world. That's not how we we raise a generation that will tomorrow be the leader of the world. And the future depends on us. Saying no means no. Celebrating someone's death means that we are allowing this to happen again and again, which is something I personally I feel like I can't just sit there and watch like the world. I don't know what I don't know if I can change anything. I'm just one person. I'm just, a girl from the Middle East who has little experience of knowing that from this short time, this life, I've seen the Middle East going from worse to worse to worse and until like we're here. In the Middle East right now, darkness took over. And I have why I have hope? Because of this. In the middle of darkness, I can see the people in the West, especially, standing up and saying, we need to have a real conversation with each other. We need to talk. We can't stop talking. We can't stop having a real discussion without wishing each other harm or death or anything bad happens to you. That is just not the way. And if my voice can change something, then be it. But I can't watch the world just destroying itself and do nothing. What I have, uh, power? No, I don't have power. I don't have. All I know is that in this moment, we can't just sit there and say, it's not my business. It's not my business. It's not, well, I can't change the world. I do believe that if I speak up, if you speak up, if different people, yes, again, like I said, I don't have to agree with you. You don't have to agree with me. I have my own beliefs. I have my own values. Um I have my own way of living my life. But every time we we um we sit and say nothing just because you're not on my side, you don't think like me, you don't have the same ideas that I have, or just because you don't believe in what I believe in, just because you have a different like lifestyle, just because you have different religion, different way of thinking, I'm going to be scared of speaking out? No, never in my life would ever, ever, ever sit there and say nothing because I know that I have the responsibility. I know that if I start speaking and you start speaking, and if each one of us say that, hey, the world is going through a very strange time or period, we have to say something. And like I said, I am hopeful, even when right now we might not see the light, but in the last 5 years, I've learned a lot that it's not worth hating others for disagreeing with me. It's just not worth it. I'd rather talk to you. I'd rather have a discussion. I'd rather, but one thing I will never, ever in my life, ever accept bullies and hateful people and people who all they want is violence and all they want is to others kneel for them. No. If there's anything I've learned in this life and from my parents, it's like you never ever allow bullies bully you into believing something or doing something you don't believe in. And I love sitting with people who they are willing to have a civil conversation, a civil talk, people who are not yelling and shouting and pointing and wishing others death or celebrate. I don't I don't believe in that, and I will never believe in that, because once you allow a bully and someone who is, you know, using violence and silencing people as a weapon, that's how we lose this world, and that's how we get into where we are today, which I will never, ever, ever live my life being scared of being bullied. There's one thing I learned from my dad is that when you let someone bully you into something and you allow it to go, that bully won't stop with you. It will goes to the next person, to the next person, to the next person until you have that bully ruling the world. I will never allow that. And I wish that we finally wake up and we finally start talking with each other without hating each other, without bullying each other. And I hope that we go back to being just human beings without all the violence and all the hate. Um, yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about because I didn't sleep for the last 3 days. I didn't sleep because that video of Charlie Kirk won't go out of my brain. The image is just won't go, and I felt like I have the responsibility to talk. I felt like I have the responsibility to. I might not have a big platform. I might not have like the millions that follows me, but if I can change someone's opinion or someone's like mind, or if I can help, I felt like there's a voice inside of me said that I have the responsibility to speak up and to just show that hate can't win. We can't allow hate and darkness win. And at the end, I I I pray for Charlie Kirk's family, his wife, and his two children. His two children. And may his memory be blessing. And we learn something from this. And I hope you have a good day, peaceful day, a day full of happiness and joy and good news. And just stay safe and try to be kind first to yourself and then to others, and to learn from this 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 event or this horrible moment, how to speak first to how you speak to yourself and how to speak to others, and to enjoy a wonderful day and stay safe, and always, always, always have the courage to speak up, and don't allow anyone to bully you into thinking or believing in whatever that makes you who you are.